Previously on Lost.
It's one of them.
My name is Henry Gale. I'm from Minnesota.
You lose your little buddy.
Oh, Jesus, no!
Why? Stop. Pilot's me.
No!
Guys, where are we?
I don't remember any of that. Hey everybody, Boston Cynic here, and welcome back to another episode of Open Art Surgery. You show me a masterpiece, and I'll show you what it's made of. Today we're going to continue our analysis of Peter Jackson's Fellowship of the Ring. As I'm sure you remember, we left off with Frodo waking up in Rivendell and finding out why Gandalf stood him up. As we saw earlier, Gandalf was a captor of his former mentor, Saruman. As Saruman revealed that he is now guilty of treason, he flips out on Gandalf, who doesn't want to be recruited.
I gave you the chance of pain.
That was an overreaction. Something I want to acknowledge is we never really get a reason why Saruman defaulted from his former allegiances. He just seemed to roll out of bed one day and went, I'm a bad guy. In the book, it's true. Saruman wanted the ring, but not for the Dark Lord, it was to overthrow the Dark Lord. What he did do was he tricked Sauron into believing he was serving Mordor and helping him to find the ring. By doing this, Saruman had all the resources and the manpower he needed for Mordor to accomplish his goal. In the movie, he just kind of decides he's evil. I feel like Peter Jackson forgot to film a few scenes. Gandalf gets his ass kicked, ends up on top of the doorless, windowless, and stairless tower where he's left to freeze and talk to bugs. Saruman tries one more time to ask him nicely for the location of the ring. Gandalf says, fuck this, tries to commit suicide, and lands on the back of a passing pissed off eagle.
So you have chosen death.
Frodo gets up and everyone has a big reunion. Now that Bilbo is 1283 years old, assuming it took 12 years for Gandalf to get to and from Gondor, he's finally starting to look his age. Not much to point out here, but Elrond is about to hold a great council with people from all over Middle-earth to decide what to do about the ring. It's funny that, in the book, everyone came here for their own reasons and with their own concerns about the visions and enemies' interest in what they're doing. Their timing led Elrond to believe that it was just meant to be. Here, it's like Elrond sent out an email that said, parents are gone, BYOB.
Who will you look to when we've gone? The dwarves? They hide in their mountains seeking riches. They care nothing for the troubles of others.
It is in men that we misplace our hope.
Men. Men are weak.
You know, I can't help but wonder if they're trying to put in some kind of subtext about racism the way X-Men did. Whenever Elrond talks about men in general, or the failure of men, we have to take it as coming from the highest point. We're meant to regard him as a leading authority of wisdom and knowledge, and he has no faith and one hell of a grudge against man. But when we look at the track record that Peter Jackson gave us, men are just weak-willed punks.
Destroy it!
No.
Isildur!
It should have ended that day, but evil was allowed to endure. There's no strength left in the world of men.
Okay, where were we? Yes, the elves are leaving Middle-earth, and Elrond asks Gandalf who he's going to go crying to when things get too tough in the future.
There is one who could unite them. One who could reclaim the throne of Gondor.
He turned from that path a long time ago.
You know, that bothers me too. That is so cliché. You know, there is one who could do this. He turned from that path a long time ago. Now what the fuck? fuck are you talking about? You say that shit every time. He turned from that path a long time ago. What the fuck does that even mean? You know, just shut up. Just shut the fuck up. God, turned from that path a long time ago. This fucking idiot doesn't know what he's talking about. All cliches aside, Aragorn is proud of his heritage, and he spent the last 67 years preparing to take his place as the king when the time was right. I know in the next movie he says he's 87, but what they don't say is that he found out who he was and who he was meant to be when he was 20. Since then, his entire life has been one long test of trials and tribulations so that when the time came, as all suspected it would in his long lifetime, he would be ready for it. So answer me this. How did he turn from that path a long time ago? What did he do, or what decision did he make that takes him out of the running as the ruler of Gondor? As a matter of fact, his love interest, Arwen, is the daughter of Elrond, and Elrond's condition for allowing his daughter to marry a mortal man was that he must be the king of both Gondor and Arnor. Don't worry, we're just going to pretend Arnor isn't a thing since that's exactly what the movie did. So, while Aragorn's reading, Boromir comes snooping around, and the first thing he does is he sizes up Aragorn. We get a real feel of Hollywood's interference in the story since you can see right off the bat that this man's days are absolutely numbered. He looks sneaky and somehow entitled. He looks like he gets lost in his own thoughts about what he could have done with this kind of power in front of him, whether we're talking about the sword or later on with the ring. He actually goes to put the sword back and drops this oh-so-holy piece of metal, and out of pride, instead of picking it up, he just walks away. The movie is telling you right here that although he isn't a bad guy, he's a bad guy. And they always get theirs.
We are here on common purpose, friend.
Back to what I was saying about Aragorn. Like Boromir, Hollywood decides to move in and change their already well-balanced character in order to... I actually have no idea how to finish that sentence.
You'll be alright.
As I said, Aragorn learned about and has fully embraced his lineage, but in order for this to be a good movie, apparently he has to be that brooding character that's always ready to complain and cry at the mention of his hereditary responsibilities. The character always felt like a ranger, but they seem to go out of their way to show that he doesn't want to be that Númenórean king. Yeah, he's not the king yet, but in the books, from time to time, his latent majesty would show through in his words and his actions. He would stand tall when speaking of his ancestors and his upcoming responsibilities, but no. This is what was decided to be the better attitude.
I do not want that power. I have never wanted it. Same weakness.
Oh, whoa. Hang on. Cut. Hang on, Vigo. I really want you to try this. I'm not feeling you this time, baby. We're going to try this one more time, and I really want you to put your whole heart into it. Tell me how you really feel. There it is. That's what the people want. So, everyone is gathered, and the Great Council finally begins. When Elrond tells him what needs to be done, Boromir gives us a scene that I think can be used over and over again for just about anything.
One does not simply walk into Mordor.
One does not simply tell his wife to shave that mustache. One does not simply conquer dark souls.
One does not simply cross Felipe Bridor.
We see it doesn't take much but a bit of racism between the dwarves and the elves for the council to break down into an all-out brawl.
Be dead before I see the ring in the hands of an elf!
We get a few more puppy-eye shots from Frodo before he decides to take the ring. Now that someone's going to do the hard part, everybody else is ready to volunteer for the journey.
I will help you bear this burden.
You have my sword.
And you have my bow.
And my axe.
Carry the face of us all, little one.
Even those who weren't invited to the council come out of the bushes to get their shot in for the trailer.
So be it. You shall be the Fellowship of the Ring.
Right. Where are we going?
Thank you for reminding us who's supposed to be the comic relief.
That was good.
The company finally leaves Rivendell and begins their journey. Things start off pretty relaxed, and Gimli decides to invite the company to come and visit his family through the mines of Moria, and I love the response that Gandalf gives him.
Gandalf, we could pass through the mines of Moria. I would not take the road through Moria unless I had no other choice.
Does a friend or relative ever invite you over, but you don't want to go because the house is a wreck? It smells like piss because of the litter box that hasn't been changed in 2 years, even though the cat's been dead for 3, not to mention the most evil fucking bastard child that actually survived an abortion because not even Satan wanted him, and the last time you went over there, he managed to get a hold of his mom's taser, hold you at gunpoint, shot you in the crotch, and ran 10,000 volts of electricity through your Johnson, and all the mom had to say was, "Now, Jesus, how many times have I told you Mommy's taser is not a toy?" Now, don't you wish you still had the balls that Gandalf is showing off here where he can actually say to the person's face who's inviting him,
I would not take the road through Moria unless I had no other choice.
What is that?
Nothing, it's just a wisp of cloud.
Something finally does go wrong when everyone notices a bunch of tightly knit birds flying towards them.
It's moving fast. Against the wind.
Crabine from Dunland!
Hide! Hurry! Run up! Cover!
As it turns out, Saruman has sent out spies to find Gandalf and the company, and Gandalf decides to change their course. He now has 2 choices: to ask the person who invited him over if the invitation is still open, or
We must take the pass of Carathras.
that way.
So, Gandalf, you tried to lead them over Caradhras. Still, will you risk the more dangerous road?
I just thought of something. Why is this path even called anything? I mean, it's up in the mountains, it doesn't appear to ever be used, there's gotta be 1,000 other ledges and paths that look just like it. Why do we need a name for it? That is explained in the book, so I'm gonna leave it alone. Here's what I do want explained to me, though. How the hell did that happen? The ring was tucked under his shirt and the chain was underneath the brooch that kept the cloak on. How the hell, when he fell, did the chain come out from under the shirt, come from around the cloak, over that bush on his head, and end up in the snow? This is the shit that I'm talking about. No matter how white the trash can is, they're going to try and tell you it's blue, and you have to believe it for the movie to make sense. They could do something as simple as, I don't know, paint the trash can blue, or explain to you why it should be blue, but no, you go in there knowing the trash can is white, and they're going to spend the rest of the movie trying to tell you that it's fucking blue.
There is a fell voice on the air.
It's Saruman!
Oh, so Saruman knows where they are. This company's purpose requires stealth and secrecy. They didn't go through the Pass of Rohan because it got too close to Isengard. Saruman sends out his birds to keep an eye out for him, but that's still a very rough estimate. The whole strategy and all they do revolves around absolute secrecy. So he knows exactly where they are? Saruman knows enough of where they are to actually aim lightning bolts at the rocky crevice above them to bring the shit down on them? Wizard, please! Oh wait, maybe that's it. In trying to keep their distance, they're right in his fucking backyard! What was wrong with the Cushy pass through Rohan? And why doesn't Saruman send every orc, Uruk-hai, or even a bunch of rabid birds to go and get him off the mountain? It's not a matter of finding him anymore, he's got him! Even if he didn't send his henchmen to get him, why wouldn't he have every exit to that pass blocked off with armed monsters? Ugh. Next complaint. So, since they've apparently been found, the threat of the mountain versus trying to find another path argument starts. Do they push through, or do they go back and find another route? Well, this is apparently too much of a decision for their wise guide to make, and for the first and only time when Gandalf doesn't want to make a decision, he literally just says, fuck it, someone's dead and it's not gonna fall on me, and with no information or input to make an informative decision, he says,
Let the ring-bearer decide.
yep, to get out of guiding them where he feels it's best to go, Frodo has his only say in anything the company does.
We will go through the mines.
So be it.
Nicely done, old man. Was not taking the heat for that one. On the way back down the mountain, Gandalf decides he's bored, and his way of passing the time is to fuck with Frodo by convincing him that he can't trust his friends.
Come and help an old man.
You must be careful now. Evil will be drawn to you from outside the Fellowship, and a fear from within. I felt it too.
Nice. So the doors into the mountain have a riddle that stumps Gandalf, and Octopus decides to hang him upside down while the people with swords cut its limbs off, and they make it into the mountain in one piece. Just trapped.
The wealth of Moria was not in gold or jewels.
While giving a history lesson to anyone who will listen, he comes across a room with 3 doors that he has no memory of.
I have no memory of this place.
Yet again, Gandalf doesn't know what to do. But he doesn't throw someone under the bus for it this time. What does he do? He decides to get stoned and stare off into space.
Think down there. The finest weed in the South Valley.
I always assumed pipeweed just meant tobacco. I would still think that if Gandalf didn't immediately have Fruit Loops on the brain.
Always follow your nose.
Gandalf lights up the hall and Gimli sees something disturbing. He finds what looks like a tomb and decides that he's supposed to be upset. This scene always bothered me because you ever find out that someone died and you know you're supposed to be upset but you just aren't, but you force the sobs anyway? I don't even think Gimli knew who was in that coffin. He just saw one and went for a default reaction. I mean, look!
Here lies Balin, son of Hundin, Lord of Moria. He is dead then. It's as I feared.
Oh wait, we gotta have something to break up this negative atmosphere. Mary, you haven't been doing a very good job of making us laugh. Stupid hobbit. So, that skeleton that was sitting up there in the well, you think he died there? Like, did he get into that perfectly balanced position of wait for death? Or do you think an orc came by and put him out there just to fuck with anybody passing by? I mean, it would be a decent security system for passing morons, but the orcs are still screeching cockroaches, at least until the next movie. Well, since the security system did work, the company is attacked. As the company has no choice but to stand their ground, they all start hearing a noise. The orcs know what's coming, as does Gandalf, and everyone decides it's time to retreat. Since all the orcs were bitten by radioactive spiders, they crawl back up the pillars and into their holes, and the company decides to run.
Cheese it!
Gandalf makes the noble decision to try and defeat the monster that's been haunting the mines of Moria, and to try and give the company enough time to escape. I mean, wow, look at that thing. I mean, sure it looks like a dusty gargoyle on fire, but my god! The detail and the style of this thing is so unique it really intensifies the terror of what the creatures of the dark could really be. And the stand that Gandalf makes, it's so strong and symbolic. He really pulls through as the guide and the guardian for Frodo and his company. I do have a hard time figuring out his death, though.
Shall not pass!
Fools!
What I see is that the Balrog fell, and he whips Gandalf's leg just enough to make him fall back, but not enough to grip him into the abyss. It looks like he just needs another set of hands to pull him up. Did he let go so the company could have those precious seconds to get away, or was he dangling there with the Balrog attached to his leg? Or did he just say, fuck it, you guys deal with this shit?
Oh my god, they killed... No! You bastards!
Since the goblins were kind enough to wait till Gandalf died before they started shooting at them again, the company decides in a hurry to run to the exit and cry on the mountain. Aragorn assumes his role as the leader, and as he tells the people in the company who aren't hobbits to get the rest of the company going, Frodo walks off and makes sure to give that mouth-breathing and sad-eye expression again as the company skips through the field into Lothlorien. Since Aragorn took on Gandalf's role as a leader, Gimli decides he's going to take over Gandalf's role as the guy who's going to fuck with Frodo. I guess Frodo didn't know that Gimli was going to take on this responsibility since he walks with him the way a 6-year-old would who's trying to play along with what he's hearing, but isn't really interested.
I have the eyes of a hawk and the ears of a fox. Oh.
Needs work.
You bring great evil with you.
Their leader decides to give Frodo a guilt trip before Aragorn persuades him to bring them to Galadriel.
You will follow me.
So they meet up with Galadriel. And what's the first thing she wants to do? She has to fuck with all of them. I mean, she has that pleasant-looking smile that just seems to hide a level of malice that would keep you up at night. Honestly, though, if I hadn't read the books, I wouldn't know what to make of this scene. First thing, Celeborn. Oh yeah, that's his name. I'll tell you since the movie won't. But the first thing that Celeborn does is tell him that they're screwed.
What hope you had in secrecy is now gone. Tell me, where is Gandalf? For I much desire to speak with him.
Gandalf the Grey did not pass the borders of this land. He has fallen into shadow.
I love that look. He looks at her like, Jesus, would you look half as crushed if I died?
Do not let the great emptiness of Khazad-dûm fill your heart, Gimli, son of Gloin. For the world has grown full of peril.
She seems to be attempting to console the company when suddenly her manner changes as she glares at Boromir. God, she looks so ashamed. I wonder what depraved acts he was imagining that she seems to have picked up on. As she scans the company, Aragorn is looking at her with reverence, Sam is looking at her like, bitch, you ain't nothing special, and Frodo attempts to give her the sad puppy dog eyes. You ever get that feel that someone's looking at you a certain way? Well, Galadriel picked up on that too and decided to show him how it was done.
You will sleep.
Welcome, Frodo of the Shire. One who has seen die.
Jesus! Fuck! Jesus, that may not seem like a big deal now, but fuck, that's one of those scenes you remember in the middle of the night when the lights are off and you're debating whether or not something's going to attack you if you can't get up the stairs fast enough. So, while the company relaxes and recovers for a little while, well, that's it. They talk about Gandalf and then... Oh yeah, the mirror. When Frodo looks at the images in the mirror, he feels the ring get very heavy, and it hangs outside of his shirt and Galadriel sees it. When Frodo all but gets on his knees, he offers her the ring, and you see Galadriel drop the elvish act and just act like a woman.
You offer it to me freely.
She does what all women would do when they're confronted with a proposal. You know, when they want the ring and not the guy. She trembles and reaches for it, and then she does the only thing a woman can do to halt the temptation. She transforms into a Super Saiyan. She talks about being beautiful and terrible, and then she decides to calm the fuck down. She says she passes the test that, well, no one was administering, and she's about to go to bed and remembers Frodo still standing there. She tells him, tough shit, this is your problem. Then she shows him her ring.
The Ring of Adamant, and I am its keeper.
Yeah. Remember the other rings? and she tells him that to have a ring of power is to be alone.
You are a ring bearer, Frodo. To bear a ring of power is to be alone.
Like I said, alone. So Saruman decides to do the audience a favor and tell Orc Hogan where the orcs actually came from.
They were elves once. Taken by the dark powers. Tortured and mutilated. A ruined and terrible form of life.
Yep, elves that were twisted and tortured into being anti-elves. Who would do such a thing?
Morgoth.
Who? The company takes their leave, get a bunch of presents, and start drifting down the river. You'd never know we were done with Lothlorien, though, since they keep flashing back to it even though it just fucking happened.
What was her gift?
I asked her for one hair from her golden head. She gave me 3.
You know, the guy that played Gimli was allergic to the putty they put in his face to make him look like a dwarf. Sometimes it's worse than others, but I treasure this scene where he's trying to tell her how beautiful she is. Now to me, this certainly helps to outweigh this. Not a whole lot, but it helps. Okay, I gotta wrap this up because I found more reasons to bitch than I was expecting. They travel down the river, they notice that Gollum is still following them, the orcs are on their way, and now they're taking a break. While everyone is resting, Frodo decides to go on a long, pretentious walk. Okay, I gotta have another nerd moment here. This stop was very significant in the book. Boromir was with the company because he was on his way home to Gondor, and the company was traveling the same path that he was going to take anyway. Aragorn actually went with them for the same reason. If Gandalf was still with them, the company would have divided, some to Gondor and some to Mordor. After Gandalf fell, they had to reevaluate their situation. Should they all go to Gondor and get some news, supplies, and any additional help they might need, or should they divide right there and send a few off with Frodo over to Mordor? The decision really came down to Frodo. He asked for an hour to think about it and decide what it was he wanted to do, and that's when Boromir got up and tried to persuade him to come to Gondor with him. Here, they just kind of end up at the end of the river. Time to start walking. Frodo decides to take his precious cargo, go for a walk, and not tell anyone about it. He's obviously torn about something.
Is it secret? Is it safe?
Evil will be drawn to you from outside the Fellowship, and a fear from within.
So small a thing.
Can't imagine what, when a smiling Boromir just happens to be collecting firewood in the same area as Frodo. You know, I always found his pleading and pretended innocence to be kind of awkward, but I gotta say, in reality, if you're playing dumb and trying to be subtle, it is very awkward. I think Sean Bean actually got this right and nailed the performance. Well, until he cries. Then it's just forced. That bipolar side effect kicks in as Boromir flips the fuck out and goes after the ring. Okay, nitpick or not, explain this to me.
Give it to me! No! Give me! No!
See my problem? Just to be sure, let's take one more look.
Give it to me! No! Give me! No!
Okay, this is what I want you to do. Grab your phone, pen, cup, anything. Got it? Good. Okay, now close your eyes for a second. Now open your eyes. My God! Even though I couldn't see this for a second, my solid grip that I had on it still maintained it in my hand. Then how did this happen? Boromir is on top of Frodo. He has a grip on him, and Frodo can't even squirm away. All innuendos aside, how the fuck did he lose him? Frodo puts on the ring and suddenly he's not there? I don't mean he can't be seen, I mean physically isn't there anymore. So now we find out the ring makes you both invisible and intangible? What the fuck?! And remember, the trash can's blue! So Frodo decides to run, even though he can barely see anything, up some stairs and hides behind a rock. Funny, that's exactly what I do when I'm invisible. I hide behind a rock. As the eye approaches, Frodo realizes that his sad eyes are not going to do him any good against Sauron. So he takes the ring off, falls on the hard floor, and doesn't even have the wind knocked out of him. Aragorn finds him and decides to use his scary voice to ask Frodo about the ring.
Taken Boromir.
Where is the ring?
Stay away!
Frodo freaks out and then decides to offer Aragorn the ring. God, he wants so bad to get rid of that damn thing.
Take it, Gandalf!
I will give you the One Ring.
Would you destroy it?
Run! Run!
So, the orc army finally catches up to the company as Aragorn tells Frodo to run. You gotta give it to Aragorn, though. 100 bloodthirsty and armed orcs, and he walks right out to them like he's getting in line at the DMV. Single-handedly, he kills all of them. Okay, the elf and the dwarf show up too, but 100 against 3 is still pretty good. Since the other half of this overkill-sized army found Merry, Pippin, and Boromir, he wipes them all out too. Christ, this is like a bad rendition of Dynasty Warrior. One guy crushes each army as they come. Wow. Look at the satisfaction on his face. It's like the cave troll who got Frodo. He actually stops to smile, and you can just hear it in his smile. I got one! I got one! And the surrounding orcs still can't lay a hand on Boromir. It's the guy across the field with a compact bow that ends up taking him out with 4 arrows. Well, at least Merry and Pippin remembered they had weapons too. I'm sure Boromir would have appreciated them remembering that just a little bit sooner, but he tried to take the ring. He knows he's doomed. Aragorn saves Boromir from that last arrow so he can prolong his suffering for just a few more minutes. Boromir confesses what he's done with Frodo, and on his way out, finally recognizes Aragorn as the king he's meant to be. Tragic. Again, just like Isildur and the reputation of man, are you really sorry to see him die? Outside of his final act of redemption, from the minute we were introduced to him all the way until he died, didn't it just seem like he was going to be a problem? Lusting after the ring, sizing up Aragorn, his shame in Lothlorien, it's really hard to feel bad for him. It wouldn't be so hard to feel bad for him if he wasn't such a poorly interpreted, two-dimensional cookie-cutter character from the book. But hey, it's not like we want to bring the third dimension into anybody's development in this movie. Frodo decides to leave the company, Sam follows after him, and Aragorn decides to lead Legolas and Gimli on a chase after the orcs to save Merry and Pippin. And that's my view on the Fellowship of the Ring, and my fucking god, I can't believe I'm going to do this to myself 2 more times. The visuals are stunning. The soundtrack is very memorable, and the special effects are flawless. Again, that to me does not excuse the way the story or the characters are portrayed. It just felt like there was no growth or development. As far as the interpretation goes, it made me think of an archaeologist trying to interpret hieroglyphics and telling the story with only half of the translation. And what's the prognosis? Bullshit! This masterpiece is built on pure bullshit. Spray painting gold on the excrement that comes out of the back of a bull does not change the fact that it is, in fact, bullshit. Now, I'm sure this was exhausting to watch, so next time we're going to take a look at something a little bit more positive. We're going to look at the top 10 reasons why Sarah Jessica Parker is, in fact, the most beautiful woman on the planet. Nah, I'm just kidding. She's fucking rancid. I'm the Boston Cynic. You showed me a masterpiece, and I showed you what it was made of. Thanks for watching. Now, what was the kid's name?
Jesus.
Now, Jesus. How many times has mommy told? No. Keep going. Now, Jesus. How many times have I told you mommy's... Damn it, Taser.